welcome to Old Man Energy. I'm your host, Flint Anderson. If this is your first time with us, I hope you find a reason to come back and you find something that you can take back with you and want to share with your friends. If you found that reason and are joining us again and the insanity that is my podcast and my life, well, then please tell your friends, because attention is what drives this train. That's what keeps us going. Make sure that you like and subscribe. You know, every Thursday you get a new episode of whatever we happen to be talking about that week, but we also do bonus episodes from time to time, so you do not want to miss out. Today, I have a real treat. I brought on a guest today, Tom Signorello. He is very similar to me as far as our background goes, which is cool. We met, I don't know, 6 months ago, maybe a year, I'm not sure, but became friends very, very quickly and have continued to work together in many capacities since then. So I think this is going to be a real powerful conversation that we're going to have about a bunch of different things. A little bit about Tom. He is the graduate of Pennsylvania State University and a 24-year entrepreneur. I think that makes him qualified to be on Old Man Energy. He spent the last 15 years specializing in helping people have more business, better relationships, and more referrals, using systems that are unique and helping people with the relationship building. He's been recognized as one of the top leaders in his company and a member of the Eagle's Nest, which is an advisory group to the CEO. He is a husband and a father of 3 and enjoys mentoring other people and having success in their lives and businesses. Tom, welcome to Old Man Energy.
Man, I hope you're recording this. That sounded pretty good. I like the sound of that stuff. No, thank you. So seriously, I'm grateful for you, Flint. You're a good man, and even for you to compare me to a great networker like you, I'm humbled and honored. Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome, and you definitely earned that. We met at a networking event and have continued to work together in that capacity. And it's funny, when we met, we were both in the, I don't know what you call it. Did people call it different things? In the mystery phase or the interest phase of building our businesses. We weren't leading with what we did. We were kind of making people wonder. And whether that was to clarify our message and figure it out, which I know that was the case on my end, or whether it was to build interest. I mean, there's different ways of networking, but ultimately, when it comes to networking, what do you think's the number one thing? Is it the number one challenge or the best part about networking? What's your opinion on that?
Well, you're talking about me, or you're talking about people in general, because they're different things. For me, I mean, I've been networking for a decade and a half professionally, and I'm so relaxed when I'm going into a room because I don't go to pitch. If you notice recently, the group that we go to, I don't even put my card in the bucket to stand up and say what I do anymore. I don't have to, because I don't go there to pitch. I go there to make friends. I want to walk out there with 2 or 3 business cards of people that I really connect with, not to be able to sell them something, but to just find out why God got us together. And I don't want to get all biblical like they say to you on Rocky. I, I just kind of, yeah, I think the more that we just wind up meeting people and being sincere with wanting to be of service and find out more about the other person, what can I do? Who can I introduce them to? What can I share with them that will enhance their life and their business and be service above self and give value to them? The business just winds up naturally happening over time. It doesn't happen instantly. It can, but it normally doesn't happen. It takes relationship building in my world.
And absolutely, that's a good point. I go about it slightly differently. I want to talk every time, but you know what? I don't pitch either. And I teach other people when teaching them how to network. Don't pitch in the room. That's not the place for it. We work a networking room very, very differently. You approach it as very laid back and easygoing. I'm not intimidated by walking into the room either, but I'm aggressive when I'm in that room. I'm trying to touch as many people as possible, as quickly as possible, with intent. Both approaches work. But why do you? I know the answer to this, but I'd like to say it for the crowd. Why do you think both approaches can work simultaneously when they're so diametrically different? What do you think it is? What's the most important thing?
Oh, that's a great question. I think that number one, you have to find who you are. You have to find your authentic self. And for you, you're that assertive type of person that goes in and does that. I used to do that in the past, and it was good for me, but it wasn't great for me. I found my great way of going about doing things, just relaxing and trusting the process. That's it, because it's a process. You get married to the process, the results just wind up happening.
So we're both lazy. That's why I started networking back in the day.
Hey,
It was a hell of a lot easier than cold calling.
you kids, I mean, they call this old man energy for a reason. I mean, I'm not going to exploit the youth of my host here.
Oh my
Okay, so
gosh. Okay. Well, old man energy qualifies to anybody that's over the age of, I think, 30 or 40, depending. I tell everybody I've been old since I was a kid. Well, yeah. And when you when you go into a room not looking to pitch and looking to lead with value, no matter how you go about that, people are naturally attracted to that. And you have to be genuine. Like you said, you don't even put your name in the bucket because you want to make 2 or 3 meaningful connections each time you're in there. And pretty much everybody in that particular event that we're talking about knows who you are. And just from that exact approach.
how's the best way to say it? It's been taking the time to do the one-to-ones, get to know somebody, nurture relationships, be sincere with what I'm doing, and not everybody wants to use my system or do what I have behind the curtains. But I don't want to come off in such a way that I kill an opportunity for referrals. I mean, a perfect example. I sat down with one gentleman earlier today after our meeting that we meet on Fridays. Excuse me, during the week. Well, he wasn't interested in what we had, but he was very interested in hearing about the types of people that could be good for me. And he was happy to refer people on over to me. Everything is a great opportunity, but if we kind of rush the process, at least for me, what I found is it kills opportunities if we go too fast. So we got to kind of meet people where they are in a relationship building process.
And that makes sense because you may not what's the old saying, some will and some won't, so what? And it's that way true with any business. I don't care whether you're a roofer or a handyman or a carpenter or an investment agent or whatever your business is. Not everybody's the right fit. And you know what? They may even need what you have, but it might be a personality thing. And if you don't take the time to get to know somebody, you could blow somebody out of the water who may be a prospect now, but heck, they may not ever do business with you, but they refer people to you constantly.
Oh my gosh, I've killed more opportunities in the past by not working on the relationships, and I get in there, like you said, there's a style for everybody. And I found for me, when I was going too hard and thinking about myself, I wasn't the best networker that I could be. And I learned over time that most people feel better if you just kind of meet them where they are, listen closely, active listening skills. You're great at doing that, Flynn. I mean, I've seen you walk into a room and instantly build rapport with people because you have great listening skills. And not only that, listening for challenges people are having, and then ask permission if it's okay if we just set aside a time. I might be able to help you with that. I might be able to help you conquer that issue, or I might have a solution for this. You never know. And well, you do know if you take the time and really use active listening skills.
That's something that cannot be overstated is active listening. Too often we're sitting back and we're waiting for our turn to talk instead of really truly listening. And most people will tell you how to do business with them if you just let them tell their story. Everybody's favorite subject is themselves. More so than that, that's a very egotistical way to say it, but more so than that, everybody's an expert on themselves. So if you want to learn about somebody, let them tell you. They're the person that knows themselves better than anybody else on the planet. So I agree, and I thank you for that compliment. I've had to develop that skill over years. I used to be the guy who couldn't wait to talk, and still find myself stepping on people from time to time, and I always apologize. But it sounds like you learned that lesson pretty harshly as well.
Well, I did, and boy, I had 2 ears and 1 mouth, and I used the inverse proportional kind of thing for a long time, and I finally had my wife say to me, "Shut up, you can't wait to hear what comes out of your mouth next," you know? But seriously, there were 2 people that really helped me, and I never met them in person, but listening to their YouTube, Simon Sinek. I don't know if you've ever heard Simon Sinek talk. Great TED Talks. He's got a great book called Leaders Eat Last. And during his not podcast, his YouTube presentations and things, if we sit back and we wait for the other person to go, or the small group of people, or a large group of people, let them express what they want to say before we interject where our thoughts are. now people feel appreciated and they feel heard. If we're going and dumping where our thoughts are before we've gotten the thoughts and feelings and indications that other people are having, there's a tendency for the human being to shut down because they're not feeling heard. They're not feeling appreciated. And I live in the world of gratitude and appreciation. I mean, heck, I've got a daily gratitude journal that I write down things that I'm grateful for every day, and I encourage that in other people. Not only nurturing relationships with other people by sharing gratitude, nurturing relationships with ourselves, and really remembering things that we're truly grateful for. Oh, the other gentleman that I was talking about, Big Al Schreider. I don't know if you ever heard of Tom Big Al Schreider. He's got Big Al books, and he is a great networking coach. And he's got some really cool things. And he was talking about how people, if you want to build rapport with other folks, sometimes all we got to do is when we're sitting down with somebody, and let's role play for a second. Say I'm sitting down with you, Flint, and I go, "Hi, Flint. I'm Tom Signorello. Nice to meet you. You're Flint Anderson. Tell me a little bit about yourself." And then sit there and just be quiet and just listen. Just like you were saying, people will love to talk about themselves. And if they talk long enough, they'll not only tell you what's going on well in their life, they'll reveal some of their pain points. And if they reveal pain, well, now all of a sudden you might have solutions that can help them. And a good networker? No, I'm going to say a great networker. A great networker, if they can't provide the solution, they're going to have contacts in their Rolodex that they can wind up helping connect people and provide solutions. That's why it's so wonderful to be able to recommend you to my most trusted network. You're a great networker.
We, as a point of fact, haven't done business together yet. Done a lot of business around each other, and it's not for lack of trying. It's just been the way our businesses are structured right now. We're better referral partners than we are anything else, which I don't have a problem with, and I don't have a problem referring anybody in my group to you because I know exactly how they're going to be treated. I want to touch base on something you just said. Is there's a lot of powerful networkers out there, but one thing that has really been coming to light here lately is in light of the massive amount of connectivity that we have today with social media and just instant access to everything, the power of a connection in person. We're missing that one-on-one connection, and more people feel more lonely than ever before. So do you think that plays into the fact if they go someplace and meet a networker who truly is listening to them and they feel heard, do you feel that that plays an important role from a personal level and a business level, or just on a business level as far as that goes, people looking for just connection, genuine connection?
Yeah, genuine connection. I think it's an umbrella that covers all facets, whether it's business or personal. But the key is genuine. And we both gone into rooms where, yeah, I mean, you saw the movie Ghostbusters a long time ago. Since we're both old, we remember the original one. And what the one doc goes, he slimed me. Well, that's what it feels like sometimes. You walk into these networking groups, it feels like you need a shower after you're done. If we think about it, and we just relax and recognize that people are in a journey. They're on their own journey of where they are in becoming professional networkers. And make no bones about it, you're talking to a whole audience of professional networkers. They've heard these same things thousands of times. They know these things, and yet here you are reinforcing that in other people. It's a great thing that you're doing here with your podcast.
And that's what I seek to do, is add value. I want to bring as much value as possible, not only to guys our age with the old man energy, but there's a whole crew of young people out there that really want to be good at what they do, and there's just not as many mentors around as there used to be. We're all so busy living our own life, and we do come from a generation that just kind of wants to be left alone. That's the big joke going around the internet right now: is don't mess with Gen X. We just want you to leave us alone. But the truth be told is that we really do want to see people succeed, but we want to see people that are truly ambitious and working hard towards their dreams succeed. And you know what? You and I are both in positions where we have decided to make businesses and grow our business just to help people do that. One of the questions I want to ask you is, why is doing what you do important to you?
It's not complicated. I mentioned God earlier in the conversation, and the first time that I was exposed to what I have and what I do, I almost heard God whisper to me. And I had gone through a very, very difficult time back in 2008. you remember the Great Recession and what went on. I used to own a landscape company. I had 24 employees at my height, $750,000 worth of equipment, and I had my plan of how to leverage the staff and the equipment and get to my retirement years. I mean, heck, I didn't want to have any big fancy boats or cars or stuff. I wanted to have enough money in my stock account so I could take my wife to dinner every week, go on a couple trips a year, do whatever I wanted to do, have Manhattans every day at 4 o'clock and watch the stock market. I just live a humble life, spend time with the kids and grandkids. And I'm just a humble kind of guy. And a funny thing happened on the way to the retirement. I lost everything. That crash in '08, because I had my equipment leveraged, they came and took it piece by piece. The employees took the tools when they left. Best friend gave me 10 cents on the dollar when it came time for all my stuff in storage before the sheriff took it and auctioned it off to pay the rent for the storage unit. I mean, it was horrible. The wife of 16 years said, "Hey, thanks for playing, but I don't want to be the wife anymore." Sued me for divorce, took my home and my kids, and I wound up sleeping in my truck half the time for the next 3 years. It was just an unbelievable thing. But you know what? I tell that story, and there was a time I couldn't tell it without crying. But now I tell it because I'm looking out the windshield and not the rearview mirror. Hopefully, my story of inspiration and hope will help somebody else who's going through a very similar tough time. I hope nobody that's listening to this is going through those kind of tough times. But I remember the great Les Brown. I actually met him once at one of our conventions, and he said, "If you can look up, you can get up." I mean, there's only one way to fail at life, and that's to quit. And hopefully people like you and me, we can encourage people the greatness inside of them. If you got a dream, nobody's going to keep it alive but you. You've got to go out and get out there every day. you know Networking is a full contact sport. It's not for the faint of heart, but for folks who want to make it a profession, learn the skills. Learn the skills. And that's where I was going with Big Al before, talking about the things, just listening. That's some of the very basics in networking, just good active listening skills.
It's amazing how well it works. So you mentioned Les Brown. I love Les Brown. I've heard him speak in the past, and it ain't over till I win. It's one of my favorite speeches. If I'm having a bad day, I'll put that on and I'll listen to that because it. And I think that was one of his earliest speeches too, because he was talking about playing Connect Four with his son, and it just, when you're talking about people's dreams and people's goals and helping them achieve their dreams and their goals, and nobody's going to do it for them, and people are so afraid to step out of that realm of security or what they've been told their entire life is security and actually go after what they want. It's almost like they feel guilty about it. It's kind of like being in a room full of networkers and half of them stand up when they introduce themselves and apologize for trying to sell you something. I still don't understand that. But and thank you for sharing part of your story. That is a powerful, powerful story. What was it that turned it around for you? Because you've made some strides since then. And in 2008 and 10 impacted a lot of people. It put me into bankruptcy. I lost one of my companies over that. It was an emotional day when the tow trucks come and pull the nice car and the little red sports car out of your garage, out of your driveway. And I mean, that happened to me. And they came and got the big conversion van, and it was ugly. So I can't relate quite to the devastation of your story, but yeah, that hurt a lot of people. What was it that turned you around? Can you tell us some more of your story on that?
Well, I think it got to the point where I knew I had to do something different. There's an old saying that people that stand still on railroad tracks eventually get run over. And I was hungry. And the entrepreneur in me said, "You know what? I am not destined to live a life of poverty. It's just not me. And so I found an opportunity that was the right fit for me. It's not right for everybody, but it was right for me. And from the word go, from the very first time I ever saw it, I went, this is the direction I'm going to go for the rest of my life. And there were ups and downs, and I had to learn what I didn't know and things, but there were amazing people that were successful at networking and successful at building relationships, successful showing gratitude and appreciation. You hear the words that I'm using, they're all core centerpieces of who I have become along the way. I'm so grateful that I had wonderful mentors that helped inspire me. And what's the saying in our industry? You pay it forward. You take what you've learned and you pay it to the next generation of people who are interested in learning and growing and developing. We can work with people who want, not the people who need. People who need, they're on every street corner. Are they willing to take the steps necessary to become a professional? That's a conversation they have to have with the person in the mirror every day.
And I want to get into a little bit about what you do. I want you to share that with us because I really love your business plan and what you do and what you bring to the table. We've solved the problem in two different ways because we operate the same way. We both build our businesses off of networking. We both built our businesses entirely from that. I went the information direction. I went the training and teaching direction and have a ton of courses and things available where I just want to give people the skills to move forward. And the discernment, what you said is, I love the street corner analogy. Everybody on the street corner is needy, but there's very few people that actually want it. And no matter how good I get at thinking I can pick the people that want it as opposed to the people that are going to work for it or just are giving it lip service, it never ceases to amaze me. Some people will just say the right stuff and never do a daggum thing. And some people will do everything wrong, but they just want it so badly that they're the ones that end up succeeding. I was that guy. My lovely bride will tell you she watched me slam my head into the wall repeatedly over and over and over again, not listen to her, not listen to mentors or pretend to or give it lip service or I need more training or I need to get refocused or I need to do this. It's like, no, you just need to get up off your ass and go do something. You really want this? We'll prove it. Make it happen. Share with us a little bit about what you do and why it matters and why it means so much to you and why and what kind of a difference you make.
Well, I want to make sure we get the disclaimer in. I'm an affiliate for a company and you are not. And so there is no vested interest here on you putting me on stage and doing anything. But I'm in a company called Promptings. Many people don't know about it, but it was a rebranded company from many years ago, a 20-year legacy company called Send Out Cards. And I was part of it in the early years, but it went through the rebranding 2 years ago. And I really got charged up and got back involved very seriously because I always knew it was great. I had built a business before, but it wasn't that killer business. And I know why. It was because I needed to grow. I needed to evolve into who I'm supposed to be. And over the last year and a half, I'm just amazed about the changes that went on both with the company and with myself and the growth and development that I've gone through. And now I get to nurture that in other people who want it. For those who don't know about it, it's a relationship marketing system where we send physical greeting cards out to people. Let me see if I got one over here. Somebody here that's one of my customers, they have an all dry franchise over here. And they sent me a picture of their duck and a personalized message. And it wasn't about pitching their business, but it was sincere thank you. And that's what it is. I mean, the old saying, the heart is closer to the wallet than the brain. I teach business owners how to nurture relationships by sending cardboard and reaching people emotionally, not cognitively. Because all decisions for business get made on an emotional level.
All decisions, in my opinion, get made on an emotional level, no matter how much we try and remove ourselves from them. And this is not a new concept. I remember back in the day, remember Bob Burg seminars and endless referrals. I learned so much from listening to that guy talk. I think I had one of his courses on cassette tape. Yeah.
Joe Girard, Guinness World Book of Records. This is the book that I read about a year before I ever found out about my company. 2 pages in it changed my life when I was reading it. And we've heard it all before. Little things make the big difference. Joe Girard is in the Guinness World Book of Records. He sold 12,000 plus automobiles in 15 years. The only marketing he did was send cards to people, CARDS. He sent gratitude and appreciation to people every month. People couldn't wait to open his cards and letters to be able to say, what did Joe send us this time? And he built a massive referral-based business. And when I read that, I said, man, I lost my landscape business because I was an advertiser and not a relationship builder. Shame on me. I'll never do that again. And then when I saw my system, I went, you got to be kidding me. It reminded me of that book. I knew that I would use it. I didn't know how to build a networking business. I had never done it before. But like I said, I go back to the great mentors I had along the way. One of them was the owner of the company. His name's Cody Bateman. He was right here in Jacksonville, Florida, 4 weeks ago for an event that I put on for me and the team. We had prospects and stuff. The owner of the company came all the way from Salt Lake City over here to be able to nurture my team. I'm a lucky man.
That's awesome.
No, I'm not going to say lucky. I'm going to say fortunate. I'm a fortunate man.
In the old man energy world, luck has everything to do with how hard you're working. The harder we work, the luckier we get. And I want to clarify one thing for those listeners that may not understand or that may are new to this. We're talking about two different things. Tom is building a networking business. He has a network marketing, referral-based marketing, whatever buzzword it is that you want. I have a training and coaching business that I've built through networking. You can build a normal and not a normal business. You can build a bricks and mortar or a standard style business through networking and personal development. You can also build a network marketing or referral based marketing through networking. So there is a difference in what we're talking about, even though they sound similar in the similar terms. It's kind of like the coaching world right now. For a long time, we were all business consultants. And then we were personal consultants, and then we were trainers, and then we were coaches, and just whatever word they happen to use. So just make sure that distinction is there. We build very different kind of businesses through the same thing. But man, I'm going to tell you what, who doesn't love to get mail these days that's not a bill or garbage? Sometimes the mailbox is just throwing stuff away with extra steps. So that personal connection and what you do really fosters that personal connection. And in the old days, we'd handwrite cards out and send them out. I mean, you guys have found a way to make that much more functional, and I think it's an awesome and a very cool business model. It's powerful in the connections, and I mean, I've gotten a few from some of your clients and from some of my clients. I'm excited because I have the UPS informed delivery, so I get scanned pictures of my mail. So I know I have a card from one of my coaching clients from your company in the mail today, and I'm excited to see what's in it because she just gave me an incredibly powerful referral in person. So what do you think the true power is in the pieces of cardboard that go out in the mail? Do you think it's the connection? Do you think it's a way to stay connected to people, or do you think it's just something that we've come to expect, so it's kind of cool? What's the true magic in it? What's the power in staying connected that way?
What a great question. And I have found over the years that when we send out things to get, very rarely does it work. And so many people signed up with the program for years trying to get business using it, and they failed. When we send a give, when we get to send things to people, like, for example, I've sent you cards in the past. Was there ever an agenda with what I sent to you?
I think the only agenda in any of the cards that you sent a few over the last year, was asking for a follow-up appointment. One time it was like, hey, we need to get together and finish talking about this. And even that wasn't out of place. It was a continuation of a conversation that we were unable to finish in person. It was a unique way to follow up.
And when we show gratitude and appreciation to others, it's like a magnet. People are attracted to it. Not everybody. I mean, it lands on some people. I mean, we like to tell people, if you like speckled puppies and little babies, you're going to love us. But sometimes people don't like old men and old people. Sometimes they kick dogs. They wouldn't like greeting cards, and that's okay. But when we send things and teach other people, let go of the ask. I was just teaching somebody earlier today. They signed up with a program down in Newport Richey. Met her on Alignable. Great networking group. If you don't know about it, alignable.com is a neat place to meet people all over the country. She was talking about how to go and do this, and she wanted to say X in the card. And I said, no, what you want to do is you want to let go of any ask. You want to make it 100% about the other person and a relationship building. You can use other collateral or other means to be able to ask for different things like email or text messages. But when you're sending cards just to work on building the relationship, that is the most powerful approach that we recommend to other people.
To those people out there listening, this is not even a devil's advocate question. That sounds counterproductive. Well, if I want to build a business, why am I not trying to foster that business at every opportunity that I can? What do you mean by don't try and build the business and send them a card? Explain that.
Okay, perfect example. Perfect example. Let's imagine you go to your mailbox and in it is a card. You saw the scan and it's from your dentist. In there, it's a birthday card. You open it up and your dentist says, Wow, another year's gone by. So happy to have a great patient like you. Bring this in for 10% off of your next cleaning. In a greeting card meant to say happy birthday, we call that chocolate frosted dog crud because it's a mixed message. They're sending something to give, but it's really designed as a marketing piece to get. Just drop off the ask. Just say happy birthday because it's happy birthday, or say thank you for business or the referral. I appreciate you. For example, I found out earlier today a lady that we network with lost her son tragically the other day. Many people have the intention to say, I'm sorry. Maybe they'll go on Facebook and they'll leave a little post. 3 seconds later, it's gone and it's forgotten about. I've gone to my phone app, opened it up, my app, hit the send button. And for people who don't know, I don't print the cards. The cards get printed in Salt Lake City, mailed out anywhere in the world. A sympathy card is on our way to our friend right now, consoling the loss of her son. Now, I'm not saying that to be all me. I'm saying that, boy, how many times do we come across people that they need a word of sympathy or they need a word of encouragement because they're going through a rough time? Sometimes people are wearing an invisible sign around the neck that just says, please, will someone make me feel special? Will somebody say they care? Oh man, I'm getting chills when I talk about it because I buy my own story. The more we can be real, the more we can say we care, the more we can actually care, the better it is for relationships and the more business that winds up coming because of it. And ultimately, more what we want in life, to be able to take care of our families or be able to have the things that we want to have, whether it's retirement or that nice car or whatever it is. Just more meetings mean more money, and not more insincere meetings, more sincere meetings.
I want to reiterate that from my space. One of my coaches in a training I was in last week talked about intent and genuine care. Is if you send your cards out just as generic with a 10% off or just without the feeling behind it, people can tell. It's the same as when you create content, and whenever I create an incredible large amount of content to put onto social media. That's the media that I've chosen to connect with people. But if I create that content with the intent of getting something from them, people can tell. And if I create that content from a genuine perspective of wanting to help and wanting to give back and wanting to see other people succeed, people can tell it comes across in the way that it is. It's just the same as if somebody is duplicating your content and your story and your perspective, it comes across, it could say the exact same thing and it comes across as a cheap copy with no backbone to it, with no genuinality in. Is that even a word? Genuinality? I don't know, but I just made it up. Oh, it is now. And I understand what it means. Hopefully everybody else does. A cheap copy is not the same thing as doing something from a position of truly caring. So the only way that your business works, the only way that my business works, is if you actually care in the first place. You have to want to see people succeed. You want to genuinely comfort people. And it doesn't have to be intrusive. It can just be, okay, yes, I see you and I hear you. And I'm here if you need something. I don't know how I can. I just tell people this all the time. I don't know how I can possibly help, but I'm here. And it breaks my heart if I hear some sad news from somebody. And it truly does, because for just a brief second, I can feel what they're feeling. And it does. It makes me sad and it breaks my heart. Or I can feel their joy. And you found a way to share that in a memorable position that's ongoing. I've got a couple of your cards that's sitting on my desk. All of them, no. Some of them have gotten ripped. They're thrown away or fallen. But you know what? Maybe having a bad day and I pick it up. Okay, somebody sees what I'm doing. And that level of connection is insanely powerful, no matter how you choose to do it. I've chosen through social media and through spoken and written and video, and you've chosen to do it through little bits of paper that you send in the mail that are shiny. But that doesn't discount it, but that connection is still there. It's like, how do you follow up?
It works for me.
You put a phrase, and I've heard you use this phrase several times. Tell us what top of mind means.
It's interesting you say top of mind because recently I've heard another affiliate, not on my team, but a cousin to me in the business, using the term top of heart. And I thought, wow, that's a really cool way to look at it. When people know, okay, top of mind, they're thinking about us because they're getting exposed to us, whether they see us on social media or whether we're texting them, phone calls, cards, whatever, we're having touches and it keeps them top of mind. Our system is designed to stay top of heart with that extra, that little something extra. Like they say down in New Orleans, lanyap, a little something extra, a little something something. It's just that little bit of difference that separate us from all that digital noise. I like to say it's a bridge. It's a bridge from meeting somebody either online or at a networking event, and a bridge that wants to take people over to the other side of just simply wanting to get to know us. And then from there, it's that bridge of touching people, that old saying where you got to touch people 7 to 10 times before you can go and close a sale. Well, when you're using 7 to 10 sincere touches, it's different than 7 to 10 touches.
And when you're sincere, it doesn't take nearly that many touches. I've heard that from
Exactly.
every sales trainer I've ever talked to, and I always thought it was garbage. It's like, man, that seems like an awful lot of work. How can I shorten that? How can I truncate that? So you do it by
Well, all these things that you've been talking about, active listening skills, all these different things, they all get combined in. And however we're doing things, however we're touching people, whether it's phone calls, text, email, or sending cards, if we're doing it in a real and genuine way, people feel it. They know we're trying to help them solve their problems, not trying to take their money. Taking the money is short lived. That does not lead to
it does
referrals.
not, and ultimately it can destroy relationships too. And it understand, I have nothing wrong with people selling stuff and taking people's money because there is value associated for what we provide, no matter what that product is. But being able to move up to that second step, and I've talked about this several times over the last week, being able to go from affiliate or working together or referral to, okay, there's no way I'm not going to do business with this one particular person because it's just who I use for that. So that's top of mind, but that's also top of heart. And I like that term. The term that comes, and you shared your story, which I'm sure you share with a lot of your affiliates and with your people just in general that you want to do business with, because you want them to know who you really are and where you're coming from. The term that I love for that is your mess is your message. so
Man,
so
I
yeah,
like
it's
that.
true.
I'm gonna quote you on that. That's gonna go on the back of my
Hey, that's
cards from
fine, but I
now
mean,
on.
it's
No, I'm
true. It's
kidding.
like if we come across as being completely perfect in everything that we do, everybody knows we're full of shit. Period. But it's like, man, and all when I'm talking, and I've recently broken into that speaking space because it was a choice. It was like similar to you. I had to choose. Okay, how do I want to define the rest of my life? Do I want to run a service-based business, or do I want to see other people succeed through a service-based business? Well, in order to do that, I wanted to start speaking and I wanted to teach. That was what was on my heart. So what am I going to talk about and what am I going to teach? Well, it has to be something associated with me. So let me start telling my story, start telling the truth, start saying, hey, you know what? I don't know much about a lot of different things, and I know how to screw up a lot of things. Here's how I've made mistakes in the past, but here's what I do know. Here's what I'm an expert on. You are an expert on fostering relationships and growing those connections, not only deep, but also wide, as far as a lot of people and a lot of people helping teach them how to connect. And that I've watched you build that particular organization and watched people just flock to give you referrals, to talk about it because of how genuine you are and how much you share just from your heart every time you talk.
Well, I'm humble. I mean, I don't know what to say other than thank you. That really means a lot to hear a great networker like you say such nice things. I'm just going to say thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, and it's all very true. And anybody that reaches out to you definitely will be able to back that up. We've already talked for almost 45 minutes, so let's talk just one more thing, and I want to touch base on this because I want to leave. I like to leave everything with action items with, okay, what are you going to do? What do you need to take home? What do you want to do from this? And if you could go back and give yourself of 10 or 15 years ago some advice, what would it be? What would you tell yourself?
I would have told myself, listen to what the people who came before me were telling me to do. I was listening, but I really wasn't listening. I thought I knew how to do it. I thought I knew it all. And there's greatness in the people who've come before us. Step back, be humble, and be a sponge. In order to lead, you first got to be able to follow. And I wasn't following. I thought I was, but I wasn't. I would tell my younger self, do a better job listening. Those two ears and one mouth. Shut up and listen.
That's good advice, and that's kind of a hard question to answer sometimes because it's like, man, but realistically, the people that we're trying to help the most are ourselves 10 years ago. That's my ideal avatar. Is like every time I talk, every time I sell, every time I make a new training or a course, I want to talk to myself 10 years ago, because that really is where I believe I can make the most difference. It's where I see you make the most difference. And your quiet, unassuming approach definitely fosters that level of not only camaraderie, but just, for lack of a better term, almost grandfatherly engagement. And it makes people really trust you and want to move forward with you. So, which is the reason that I've got you on here. Given that we're almost out of time for today, so is there anything that you would like to leave the listeners with, that you like to leave my audience with? Piece of advice, it could be anything. Piece of advice, it can be talking about your company, whatever you want. Just any final comment.
That's a great question. And immediately when you said that, I was reminded of a man that I worked with almost 40 years ago. I used to work in the airline business way back, and I was with a company where we managed customer service employees. And back before I even got into management, one of my shift supervisors, his name was John Carrick. He was a great man. I love John. And he always used to say, you can't hit a home run unless you swing. And he said, don't be afraid to make mistakes. There's always people on up the line or along the way that will help you figure out where the mistakes are and help you overcome it. We're not trading Russian nuclear secrets over here. We're networking, we're building friendship, and everything we do, we can always say, hey, I'm sorry, I messed up. And believe me, I've had to say it plenty of times in my life. When he said, can't hit a home run unless you swing, that was like something I needed to hear in my early days that really unlocked a lot of potential for me. And I found, you know what, just going out there and trusting our instincts. Because when we trust our instincts and follow our own authentic self, a lot of people listen to the wrong voices. They hear doubt and negativity instead, listening to great people like a Les Brown, or the list goes on. I listen to Jim Rohn. I listen to him over and over and over. The man's been dead for over 10 years, and thank goodness for YouTube and stuff. His way of talking, his easygoing style with interjecting humor. I'm not trying to compare myself to the man, but boy, if I could do some public speaking like Jim, man, guys like you and me would need an armored car to carry around the money we're gonna make. What a good problem to have. No, seriously. He just has such a cool way of talking, and it just really resonates. So I would just say to people, you know what, trust your instincts. They'll lead you in the right direction if you allow it. That's why we say to people, act on your promptings. That's what it is. It's a thought or intuition to do something either nice for yourself or nice for other
No,
people.
that's great advice. That's great advice. And Tom, I really appreciate you joining us today and giving us the opportunity to hear your story and hear a little bit about what you do. I wanted to have you on the podcast for a little while, and we just were able to finally make it work. For those of you out there listening, you're going to have all the books that were mentioned here. There'll be links in the description, so you can go and grab those if you like. Any of Tom's information is going to be linked down there. So if you want to connect with him, and see if he's telling the truth, absolutely reach out to him. You will get a response, and you can have a real conversation with them. If you guys are feeling stuck or not sure where to go, either you've gotten stagnant with your business or with your goals, or maybe you're a young person just looking to get started, or heck, even an older person looking to get started and start chasing after what you want, and this link's in the bio as well, but go to leadershiplegacycourse.com. I'm going to start running monthly events where I literally teach how to define your dreams and figure out what you need to do tomorrow to make that happen. It will help you get started and break that stagnation barrier. This is all about giving back. So there's tons of free information out there. Not only he mentioned the Jim Rohn videos, you can go and find almost all of the knowledge in human history at your fingertips with your phone. Stop using it to look up pictures of cats. Start using it to make a difference in your life. Thank you for joining us today on Old Man Energy. If you do not subscribe already on all social media platforms, because I produce different content daily across the social media platforms, then make sure that you go follow us. And if you found some value, share this with your friends. If you guys have some questions, pop them in the comments below. Send us a message. You know how to get a hold of us, and you'll be able to reach us. As always, thank you for joining us, and we will talk to you soon. Love y'all. Peace.